Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 5 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that will make your blood boil, then warm your heart. Story 1. School made my bleeding daughter walk around instead of calling me. So my daughter bled through her pants at school today, and instead of calling me, the office sent her wandering the halls during lunch trying to find pants that fit. Let me back up. My daughter's in high school, and she's got a medical history of heavy, unpredictable periods. We've dealt with this before, it happens. But today it happened at school, and she bled through completely. Now here's the thing that's got me so angry I can barely type this out straight. Instead of picking up the phone and calling me, her mother, the person who could have been there in 15 minutes with a change of clothes, the office staff decided the best plan was to send my daughter around the school during her lunch period, trying to find a spare pair of pants that would fit her. She's a size 14. Of course they didn't have anything in her size, because schools usually keep like 3 sad extra small gym shorts in a lost and found bin for emergencies. So picture this. My daughter, already embarrassed, already stressed, having to walk around her school, in front of other students, asking around for pants, while bleeding through her own. And nobody thought, hey, maybe we should just call her mom. That's it. That's the whole solution. Call the mom. I would have dropped everything. I would have been there so fast. Instead she was humiliated for an entire lunch period, and because none of that worked, she ended up having to sit through more of her classes in that state before anything actually got resolved. When I picked her up and she told me what happened, I was shaking. I called the school immediately and let's just say I did not use my inside voice. The response I got was basically, well, we didn't want to worry you unnecessarily, and we thought we could handle it in-house. Handle it in-house. My daughter was walking around a school full of teenagers, visibly bleeding through her clothes, and their solution was to keep it quiet rather than just calling her parent. I posted about this because I needed to know if I was overreacting. Some people are telling me schools deal with this kind of stuff all the time and it's not that big a deal, that they were trying to protect her privacy or whatever. But I don't buy it. Protecting her privacy would have been calling me quietly and getting her out of there, not making her parade herself around the building looking for pants. This is a kid who already struggles with anxiety about her periods because they're so unpredictable, and now she's going to associate school with this humiliating memory for who knows how long. I get that the office staff isn't trying to be cruel. I get that maybe they thought they were being resourceful. But there's a point where common sense should kick in, and that point is definitely before you send a bleeding teenager on a scavenger hunt through a crowded school. I'm considering going to the school board over this, because I don't think this is just a one-off mistake, I think it's a policy failure. If this happened to your kid, would you let it go, or would you be pushing for actual changes to how the school handles this stuff? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. I took the job that means leaving my disabled mom and autistic sister. So I might have to move across the country and leave my disabled mom and autistic sister behind, and I don't know if that makes me a terrible daughter or just someone trying to survive. Let me explain the situation because it's a lot. My mom is disabled and can't work. My sister is autistic and also isn't able to support herself financially. Right now, the 3 of us, plus my grandma who has dementia, are all getting by on my mom's disability payments, my income, and my grandma's pension, which mostly goes toward her care. It's a fragile system, but it's worked, barely. We live in California, and honestly, the cost of living here is brutal on what we're bringing in. Here's where it gets complicated. The company I work for just got bought out by a private equity firm, and they're shutting our office down completely in the next 3 months. I've been applying to jobs non-stop, panicking honestly, because I'm not just providing for myself, I'm a huge part of how this whole household survives. And I finally found something. A good job, stable, decent pay. The catch is it's in Virginia. Across the entire country from my mom, my sister, and my grandma. When I brought this up at home, it did not go well. My mom got upset, said she didn't know how they'd manage without me there physically, not just financially but with day-to-day stuff, appointments, helping my sister navigate things, being present. My sister didn't say much but I could tell she was scared too. She doesn't do well with big changes and this is a massive one. And look, I get it. I've been the glue for a long time. I help my sister with things she struggles with. I take my mom to appointments. I'm around for the small emergencies that pop up constantly when you've got a disabled parent and a family member with dementia in the mix. Pulling that support away feels like abandoning them. But I also have to think about my own life here. If I stay in California, unemployed, in a market that's already tight, how long before we're all in a much worse position because none of us have income? I could send money back from Virginia, probably more than I'm making now. Honestly, the job pays better. I could fly back for emergencies. We could figure out video calls, maybe hire someone locally to help with the stuff I can't do remotely. But it's not the same as being down the street. My mom accused me of choosing my career over family, which stung more than I want to admit. My sister just kind of shut down and didn't want to discuss it further, which honestly hurt worse than yelling would have. I keep going back and forth. On one hand, I'm being pragmatic, I need income, we need income, and this opportunity fell in my lap right when I needed it most. On the other hand, I'm the person these two people rely on most in the world, and the idea of not being there when something goes wrong keeps me up at night. My family's acting like I'm abandoning ship, but I feel like I'm the one keeping the ship afloat by taking this job in the first place. Am I a bad daughter and sister for choosing to move for this job, or am I just doing what I have to do to keep everyone supported long term? Story 3. I refused to see my parents in the hospital after they chose the bar over me. So I was sitting in a hospital bed with my heart rate spiking to 180, and my parents decided that was a great time to go grab drinks at the bar instead. Let me give you the background here because it's honestly infuriating even now that I'm typing it out. I'm 31, and a few weeks ago I started having really scary cardiac symptoms. Chest pain that wouldn't quit, dizziness that made it hard to stand, numbness running down my left arm, and my heart rate kept spiking to 180 beats per minute while I was just resting, not even doing anything strenuous. If you know anything about heart symptoms, you know that combination is terrifying. I currently live with my parents, just temporarily, while I get back on my feet financially after moving from my last place. So when this started happening, I told them directly, this is what's going on, this is how I feel, I think something is really wrong. Their response, and I want you to sit with this for a second, was you're fine. That's it. No further discussion, no concern, nothing. Then they told me they'd be heading out and would be back in 30 minutes. This was around 4:30 in the afternoon. So I'm sitting there, alone, heart racing, genuinely scared, waiting for them to come back so someone could help me get checked out. 30 minutes passes. Then an hour. Then 2 hours. By 7:30, 3 hours after they'd left, saying they'd be gone 30 minutes, they still weren't back. I ended up having to call for help myself and get taken to the hospital, alone, while having actual cardiac symptoms, no family with me, nobody to advocate for me or even just sit with me while doctors ran tests. Turns out they had gone to a bar. While their daughter, who had just told them she was having heart palpitations and chest pain and numbness, sat at home alone getting progressively more scared. They eventually did show up, but by then I was already at the hospital, and honestly, the anger I felt in that moment hasn't really gone away. The hospital ran a bunch of tests, and thankfully nothing came back immediately life-threatening, but the symptoms were real, and heart rate spikes like that are not something to just brush off with "you're fine." When they finally reached out, wanting to come visit me at the hospital, I said no. I didn't want to see them. My mom acted hurt, said I was overreacting, that they didn't realize it was that serious, and that I was punishing them unfairly by not letting them visit. But here's my thing. You don't get to hear your daughter describe genuine cardiac symptoms, tell her she's fine, then go have drinks for 3 hours while she deals with it completely alone. That's not a misunderstanding, that's a choice you made about your priorities in that moment, and I was not the priority. My extended family is now getting involved too, some of them saying I'm being dramatic and should let my parents visit and make amends, others saying I have every right to keep my distance after being left alone during a genuine medical emergency. I keep thinking about how differently that day could have gone if something more serious had happened while I was sitting there by myself. Was I wrong to shut them out of the hospital after that, or is this exactly the kind of boundary I should be holding on to? Story 4. I host my brother like royalty, so now I'm matching his wife's energy. So apparently feeding someone cheese and crackers when they fed you a 5-course homemade feast makes you the bad guy now. Let me explain what's actually going on here. I absolutely love hosting people. When family comes to visit me, I go all out. I'm talking a full spread of homemade cultural dishes, fresh baked breads, multiple rice dishes, curries simmered for hours, kebabs, an assortment of sweets, drinks, the whole production. I'm not exaggerating even a little when I say I sometimes spend an entire day, start to finish, just cooking for these visits. It's something I genuinely enjoy and I take pride in it. Now, when I go visit my brothers, most of them return that same energy. They cook, they put together spreads, they make an effort because that's just how we do things in our family. Hosting is a big deal. Except for one brother, we'll call him Neil, and his wife. Whenever I visit them, dinner is like cheese and crackers, hummus and some fruit, maybe sandwiches picked up from a store, a croissant here and there. Just very minimal, low-effort stuff. And look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with simple food normally, that's genuinely fine as an everyday meal. But the contrast between how I host them and how they host me back has been bothering me for a while, especially because I know they're capable of cooking, I've seen them do it for other people. So recently, I decided to try something different. When Neil and his wife came to visit me this time, instead of my usual all-day cooking marathon, I served them a much more low-key spread. Some store-bought snacks, a few easy things, nothing close to the effort I normally put in. Essentially, I matched the energy they've been giving me this whole time. And oh boy, did that not go over well. Neil pulled me aside and asked why I didn't cook like I usually do, and I told him honestly, I said I was just matching what they usually serve me when I visit them. He got really defensive, said that's different, that they're just busy people and don't have time to cook elaborate meals, and that I was being petty and childish about it. His wife apparently felt some type of way too, saying she felt judged and that I made her feel bad about her hosting style. But here's the thing, I never once complained to their faces about the food before this. I just quietly noticed the difference over time and decided to mirror it back rather than keep pouring in way more effort than I was getting in return. Now there's tension in the family group chat. Some relatives think I was passive-aggressive and should have just talked to them directly instead of pulling a stunt like this, while others think I made a totally fair point in a way that finally got through to them after who knows how many visits of noticing the imbalance. I don't think everyone needs to cook the same elaborate way I do, that's not the point at all. The point is the one-sidedness of it, me going all out every single time, and getting cheese and crackers in return, without ever asking for anything in return until now. Was matching their energy the wrong move, or was this actually a fair way to make my point after being quietly taken for granted for so long? Story 5. AITA for having alcohol at my son's 6th birthday party. So apparently having a cooler of beer at my 6-year-old's birthday party makes me a bad parent, even though not a single drop was touched until after all the kids had gone home. Let me set the scene here because I think context matters a lot in this one. My son just turned 6, and we threw him a pool party. It ran from noon to 3 in the afternoon, pretty standard kid party stuff. Friends came over, we had pizza, there was swimming, cake, the whole deal, and by all accounts the kids had a blast. Now here's the part that's apparently controversial. Right after the kids' party wrapped up, we had a second party planned for our own friends, the adults. Since we were already going to be cleaning and prepping the backyard and the house for guests, it just made logistical sense to set everything up once for both events instead of doing it twice in one day. So yes, there were coolers of alcohol at the party. But, and this is important, they were stored behind our backyard bar, out of sight, not sitting out on tables where kids could get to them, and nothing, not one drop, was consumed during the kids' portion of the day. Nobody was drinking while 6-year-olds were running around the pool. The switch from kids' party to adults' party happened cleanly. We transitioned, said goodbye to the kid guests and their parents, and then the second crowd started showing up, and that's when drinks actually came out. Apparently, one of the parents dropping off their kid noticed the coolers behind the bar and made some comment about it, and now it's turned into this whole thing where people are saying I was reckless for having alcohol anywhere near a children's event, even though, again, it was stored away and untouched the entire time kids were present. I feel like there's a difference between having alcohol present on the property because you're using the same space for 2 back-to-back events, versus actually having people drinking around young kids. We weren't handing beers to 6-year-olds. We weren't day drinking while supervising a pool full of children. We made a logistical choice to prep once for 2 related events happening the same day, and kept the 2 completely separate in terms of actual consumption. But now I'm getting messages from a couple of parents saying they're uncomfortable with how things were handled, and implying they might not let their kids come to future parties at our place. I get that some people are extra cautious about alcohol and kids in general, and if the coolers had been out in the open or someone was sipping a beer while lifeguarding the pool, sure, I'd get the criticism. But it was hidden behind a bar, structurally separated from the kid zone, and nothing happened until the party we were transitioning into for actual adults. Is it really unreasonable to have booze on site for a later event just because kids were there earlier in the day, or are these parents overreacting to something that was never actually a safety issue? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.